Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Assignment United 2745 and it says, am I the arsehole for ruining my family's New Year's Eve by refusing to join the fun? Because I didn't want to be the designated driver again. Hey Reddit, I 26 female need some serious perspective. I'm starting to think I might be the arsehole, but I still feel like I'm in the right. Every New Year's Eve, my family has a big party at my aunt's and uncle's house, and every year without fail, I end up being the designated driver. Don't get me wrong, I love my family, but it's starting to bug me. It's been like this since I was 19, even before I was legally allowed to drink. I don't drink much, maybe a glass of wine or a beer, but I don't get plastered. I'm fine with driving people home if they need it, but for the past few years, everyone expects me not to drink so I can drive them back. Every year it's the same. Oh, can you drive? You're not drinking anyway. I always say yes, because I don't want to let anyone down. Fast forward to this year's New Year's Eve. I told my family ahead of time that I wasn't going to be the designated driver anymore. I just wanted to enjoy the night, have a couple of drinks, and not be responsible for getting everyone home. I even told my cousin, who usually gets really sloshed, that I wasn't driving this year, and she was fine with it. When I got to the party, it was the usual chaos. People were drinking, laughing, and having a good time. I was enjoying myself, but around 11, my cousin came over and asked if I was ready to drive everyone home. I reminded her, I'm not driving tonight. I'm here to enjoy the party. She looked at me like I was crazy and said, come on, you always drive, don't be a bitch. Which what the fuck? I tried to explain calmly that I wasn't being a bitch, just that I wasn't going to be the chauffeur anymore. Then my aunt overheard and pulled me aside. She lectured me saying, we all agreed last year you'd be driving. You know how much we rely on you. Everyone else is too tipsy and Ubering is so unsafe. Just drive this one time for the family. I felt a ton of pressure, but refused. I told her I'm not their chauffeur and wasn't going to do it again just because no one else could figure out their own ride. My aunt got upset saying I was being selfish and that we are family. She said I'm the only one who doesn't get too drunk, so it makes sense for me to help out. I told her I already had 3 beers, so I wasn't even legally supposed to drive myself. That's when I snapped. I told them it's not my job to be the designated driver every year just because I'm the one who doesn't get blackout drunk. They needed to figure out their own rides this time. Then I got up and left. I felt bad walking out, but I didn't want to be a doormat anymore. I spent the rest of New Year's Eve at home watching Netflix and eating leftover pasta with my boyfriend. My family texted me, calling me dramatic, selfish, and saying I ruined the night. They said I was being super sensitive and that everyone was disappointed in me. Everyone's demanding an apology out of me even now. And by the way, I got home perfectly safe by Uber. But anyways, Reddit, am I the arsehole? MC Susie says you are not the arsehole. Your family is gross. But why didn't your boyfriend spend New Year's Eve with you? Opie says he's a nurse and had a shift that cut into the party. He could have potentially come, but he was exhausted and wanted to go straight home and take a shower while he waited for me to get back. Another reason I didn't want to be the designated driver. I didn't want to stay out too late because I wanted to see my boyfriend. MC Susie replies saying, well, I agree wholeheartedly with a Redditor who said, you should spend New Year's Eve someplace else. What your auntie did was incredibly entitled and disrespectful. Clearly you did not agree to be the driver. She and your other drunk relatives decided that you would be the driver. If you're going to celebrate New Year's Eve with them in the future, you need to cut the cord and be absent for a few years so they can figure out how to handle this without you and without treating you like their paid chauffeur. Opie says, I agree, but at the same time, I feel like this is tearing a hole between me and my family, and that's the last thing I want. My sister was on my side after hearing both sides of the story. She lives on the other side of the country and is pissed off for my sake. My parents, however, are embarrassed, and I feel bad about that. Brown Phantom says, is the usage of alcohol common in your family? Like any event as an excuse to drink? There was a post here a while ago about a guy whose parents always made him designated driver on Halloween. It sounds similar to this. Opie says, I didn't realize this was a common thing. I'm a little relieved to know I'm not alone, but yeah, my family love to get tipsy at things like parties, football games, barbecues, etc. I decided young I wouldn't be a big drinker because I always found this behavior disgusting, especially watching how mean my dad could get when he drank too much. Brown says, when you get your driver's license, did being the designated driver become a common assignment? Opie says, not at first. I'm someone who struggles with a lot of anxiety, and driving caused that for a long time. I pushed off getting my license until I was 18 because of it. They didn't ask me to be a designated driver until I was 19, and at first, I felt kind of cool because I was being the responsible adult and helping people I loved out. But it quickly got old when I had to drive back and forth multiple times to get everyone home, and no one offered to pay for gas. So it was about half a month later that Opie came back into the update and said, so, update. Before I get into that, I want to address some popular questions from my last post. Some people got confused and asked similar questions, so I thought it might be nice to answer them here. How do I give everyone a ride home? My family lives about an hour and a half from my aunt's house, so I'd fill my car with everyone I could and take them home. The next day, they'd take their spouses' cars to pick up the ones they left. Stupid, I know. How did I get home? I Ubered. I was my cousin asking to leave at 11. She was drunk and probably had no idea what time it was. My aunt overheard me getting a little upset and pulled me aside, which sparked everything. Update time. I ended up sending a text to our family group chat, including those who didn't make it to the party but heard about what happened. I copy and paste what I said here. It says, hey everyone, I'm not going to apologize for what happened on New Year's Eve. I told you all well in advance that I wasn't going to be the designated driver this year, and I expected you to respect that. I'm not anyone's personal chauffeur, and I'm done being treated like I'm responsible for everyone's lack of planning. When cousin called me a bitch for not driving, that was uncalled for. An aunt, name, lecturing me about being selfish and ruining the night because I chose to enjoy myself instead of taking on that responsibility again. I love you all, but I can't be your punching bag anymore. I'm not going to keep letting myself be the one who sacrifices for everyone else's convenience. I've done it for years, and I'm done. Next year, I think I'll be spending New Year's somewhere else. I wish you all safe rides home, and I hope you'll be able to figure something out. I'll be taking some space from everyone, and hope you will understand. I then made the painful decision of blocking my parents, who've been calling me terrible names and making me feel like complete shit since this happened. I never realized how dark my childhood was with all the gaslighting. My parents are probably the reason I have such severe anxiety. My sister and brother are on my side and equally pissed off at our family, so I got them at least. I really do want to thank you all. I've always known something was off with my family, but I never realized how much I was taken for granted, how unloved I felt until now. Thank you for helping me realize that I'm worth more. And to end on a positive note, my boyfriend is now my fiancé. A few days after my post, he proposed. His original plan was to take me to some cutesy light displays in our town after I got home and proposed there, which made my heart melt a little since I knew he was so tired after working. But when he saw me walking crying, he read the room and switched things up. When I was feeling better, he took me to dinner and proposed there. I have no idea how the wedding will go, or if my parents will be there, but I'm excited to spend it with people who love and appreciate me. Someone asked OP after this, did anyone reply to the text? OP says, don't know. I blocked everyone who went to the party / asked me to be designated driver and then removed myself from the conversation. Another commenter says, wow, first off, congrats on the engagement. Sounds like your fiancé is a keeper. He's got that perfect read the room and propose when the vibes are right energy. Honestly, your text to the group chat was iconic. That's some real main character energy right there. Setting boundaries and refusing to be everyone's unpaid Uber anymore. I'm glad you stood your ground. You deserve better than being treated like a backup plan for their bad planning. The fact that your parents doubled down with gaslighting just proves you made the right call by blocking them for now. That's a hard move, but it sounds like you're finally putting yourself first, and that's huge. And shout out to your siblings for having your back. Sounds like you all are the real MVPs of the family. As for the wedding, focus on the people who truly support you. You've already got your siblings and fiancé in your corner, and that's a solid squad. The rest can figure themselves out. You're starting this new chapter surrounded by love and honesty, and that's all that matters. Keep shining, you're killing it. Opie says he's the best. He's always had my back against my family. He wanted to come with me to the party to support me because he thought they might act up. But I knew he'd be tired after working, so I told him not to worry about it. He also helped me write this post and has been reading all of your comments. He says hi. Surround Miserable says congratulations and well done on your shiny new backbone. My advice? Elope. Don't invite the majority of your family. Have a wonderful, stress-free wedding. Opie says me and him want to have a standard wedding. If worse comes to worse and everyone's still being dickheads, they just won't come. My fiance made a funny point of hiring someone to keep them out. Carrot says congratulations on everything. And tell your parents that they are uninvited to your wedding until further notice. You don't want to hear from them because their behavior was atrocious and you won't accept disrespect any longer. Opie says they don't even know we're engaged. I put it on my Instagram, but they don't have access to that anymore or my number. In my opinion, just from reading too many stories, I wouldn't be so confident that they don't know about your engagement. I'm pretty sure they will and will try to slither their way back in some form, especially if they think there's a party coming up. But holy moly, that message OP sent, that was just like perfect, wasn't it? I would absolutely love to have been in that chat after OP just ducked out of there after leaving that message. I bet it was something. And also a huge congratulations on that engagement as well. Like that Sistina Dream said, it sounds like you got a solid squad in your corner, so absolutely lean on them and, don't worry about anyone else. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account, and it says, my 22 female boyfriend, 25 male of 2 years, wants to have a three-way with our mutual best friend, 26 male, after he tricked us. So the other night, my boyfriend Mark and I went to a birthday party, all hyped up because we're going to finally see our mutual best friend, John, after about a month. John was in Russia for a month and had literally gone to the party. It was his sister's birthday, straight from the airport. He was all hyped to see us too, and after about an hour of hanging out with everyone else, John asked if we could sneak off and head to his place to sort of catch up. We're all kind of introverted and crowded places get tiring after a while, and everyone knows that we're the trio that leaves every party first. So we're at John's place just chatting and catching up, and he takes out this capsule and swallows it down with water, telling us it's this plant-based all-natural stimulant that sort of boosts your energy levels, saying he felt a little jet-lagged. He very casually offered us one each to try them out, but we said no, and Mark teased him a little for picking up all sorts of things from all sorts of places. John travels a lot and does indeed bring some fun snack or protein bars or whatever. It was a real casual conversation, and it somehow turned into John saying, I got them from a pharmacy, and they let me take them on the plane. How bad could they be? Waving out this Russian bottle with plenty of capsules. And Mark judging the capsules as completely harmless and pointless, and us taking one each. It's hard to capture the moment here, but it was very, very normal and a natural scene in our friendship. Fast forward an hour and I start to get a little euphoric, so I excuse myself to the toilet. I splash some water on my face, and when I look in the mirror, I notice that my pupils are really dilated, and the world around me seemed a little warmer, for the lack of a better word. I go back to the guys and I tell them about this, to which John straight out confesses, okay guys, don't hate me, but there was some Molly in the pills that I gave you. Dearie me. Explaining how he knows we'd never take it and that there's really no harm. Weed is quite enough for both of us every odd now and then. I start to panic, and while Mark feels completely fine and sober, he goes all not cool man, and we leave a very apologetic John. We sat on a bench outside his building, and then Mark starts to really feel it too. It was really hard to stay mad at John though, because everything felt so fantastic and we were so emphatic. We sat outside for a couple of minutes when Mark's phone starts to ring, and it's John, and he's apologizing, but we all feel just so damn calm and awesome before long. So the three of us end up in a park nearby, chatting and just having a good time. Soon it got a bit chilly and we discovered that cuddles just feel great. Everything was just so great. I felt completely sober and normal, yet oddly energetic, but perfectly rational and full of empathy. Somehow the conversation turned into sex, and John wondered if we'd ever include a third person in our bed. I didn't take the comments, so I went all, woo, exciting. But Mark took it more seriously and said, maybe, but it's hard to find a good person for that. To which John very casually says that he'd join us, were he invited, without it ever getting weird. But the Molly just made everything cool and okay, so we let this slip by. This was a week ago. The following day, when I was feeling the after effects, I wasn't so cool about what John had done, but felt that what was done, and even though I told him off really loud and clear, the three of us hung out every day before John leaves for India on the 25th. Don't get me wrong, I will never trust John this way again, and everyone knows it. And we really did have a huge fight about it. So today Mark tells me that he's really been thinking about having a three-way with John, and the two of them have already talked about it yesterday, and now they're just waiting for me to say yes. What even? I just widened my eyes at him, unsure if he was serious, and then just went to work and told him we'd talk about it when I get back. Here I am now, running out of excuses not to go home, typing this post. What the hell, Reddit? What should I do? On one hand, I do feel like I got into a serious relationship too young. Mark and I are perfect together, and we plan to keep it up. So yeah, this really could be a thrilling experience, but on the other hand, does it have to be with our best friend? John is good looking, very chill, and just generally a good person. And I've always had a bit of a tiny crush on him. Mark knows, of course, and kinda teases me about it. I'm afraid this will turn out way too messy and complicated. I sort of feel like I have to say yes. What if I say no though? I feel like that would just make this awkward and I'll be the bad guy. Absolutely hell no. This guy drugged you, and it doesn't matter what the setting was. He drugged you. Without your consent, without you knowing. That's wild ass crazy behavior. And I'm not sure if this is going to be a wild ass theory at all. I kind of feel like between Mark and John that this was set up beforehand. That they may have been talking about this for a while, and the drugs were trying to make you vulnerable in that moment. That's wild ass behavior. Get away from these people soon as. But commenter says, look, this dude gave you drugs without your consent, knowing you'd say no if he asked. I don't think you should be having sex with anyone you can't 100% trust to respect your boundaries and right to consent, even if you're into the idea of a threesome. I think John has totally ruled himself out. Secondly, in my experience, threesomes more often go wrong than not. That's not to say they're a bad idea, just that everyone needs to be really sure. You need a stone cold conversation about it, firstly with your boyfriend, then with any potential third party. Your boyfriend should not have discussed this with a potential third party first and then brought it to you. And if you guys want to revisit the idea, discuss it together first. In any event, if you are not sure, which you are not, it's a definite no. Opie says you're right. The thing is, Mark and John always make plans on their own and I just go along with everything. But it's never things like this. It's things like concerts, where to eat out, which movie to see in the cinema, because I always complicate things and can't make my mind up. And I'm glad to have them make plans for us all. It really feels like a relief, honestly, but this isn't a thing like that. I don't know if to them it is, but I feel like this is something they should have included me in a very sober state. Thanks. I think this is how I would start my conversation with them. Applekin's reply saying, because this is something that they should include you on. This guy should not be trusted, and yet your boyfriend is acting like you never got drugged. And even using the conversation that took place while high, at best it's scummy. At worst, it kind of makes you wonder if it was planned between the two of them. Ironically, I'm pretty sure it freaks seeing his best friend have sex with you. But that's neither here nor there. You're gonna have to polish that spine, OP. It concerns me that you say you always mess things up or complicate things when planning, because that tells me they may just try to use that history against you to pull you to their way of thinking. Trust your gut. This feels off because it is off. Opie says thank you for pointing that out. That they can use that part of that history against me. I will keep that in mind. It's very important not to get trapped into that because knowing myself, I probably would. I'm definitely not going along with it. So at some point later, OP comes in with the update and says, thanks to all your advice, you awesome Redditors. I made the decision to do and say the following regarding the situation with my boyfriend and best friend. There were so many comments I didn't get to reply to before I met up with the guys, but I've still read them all and I just want to say I'm grateful to each and every one of you for taking the time to advise me. You guys really made me feel less alone in the situation, And if it weren't for you, I'd have had no one to turn to. So I ignored all the calls and texts I received from Mark and John when I didn't show up at home yesterday. I slept over at a colleague's place, and before it got too late, I texted both Mark and John to meet at a cafe first thing in the morning to talk things through. When I showed up about 10 minutes early, they were already there and they'd ordered my favorite drink. First thing I did when I sat down was telling them not to talk until I got everything out I've got to say. And they respected that. Mostly. They did try to interrupt me a couple of times, so to paraphrase what I said. To John, I'm not okay at all that you gave us MDMA without asking us explicitly first. It was very, very wrong, even if you meant no harm, even if you knew we would like it, even if it was frustrating for you that we wouldn't be taking it just because we decided that drugs weren't for us once upon a time. And even though it turned out just fine in the end, I'm not okay with it, and no one should be. This is something you should never, ever, ever do to anyone. Drugging people is fucked up. I don't know how you justify this to yourself, and I don't even want to know. To Mark, as for you, I'm not okay by how unaffected you seem by it. It honestly makes me doubt that you are as clueless as me about the whole deal. I even think that you guys might have planned this behind my back to just get me to agree to a three-way, which I do not want to happen, because of many, many reasons that we can discuss later. I'm not okay that you guys went and talked about it after the MDMA, and that you, Mark, just brought it up casually like it's the most normal thing in the world to do. That's so many levels of messed up that I can't even begin to describe it. You guys should have talked about it together with me no matter what. At the moment, I trust none of you, and I need to be on my own for a while. Both of you crossed a very thick line, and especially you, John, and it can't be undone no matter what. In reality, it wasn't as smooth, and I shook through the first half of the conversation and couldn't really look either of them in the eyes properly. By the end of the monologue, I'd sweat a bucket, but I said all I had to say. As lame as it may seem, I basically took things I liked from your comments, and things from your comments made me realize, and wrote this speech and read it over and over while I couldn't sleep. Then I proceeded with asking Mark to go stay with John till he has to leave for India on the 25th, because we live together, and that would decide then how we, and mostly I, feel about our living arrangements. When Mark asked if this meant we're over, I said I don't know, and that we'll talk about it some other day, because honestly, I don't know. As for their part, at first they were a bit, you're overreacting and you can't be serious, and come on, we would never. But when they realized how serious I was, both of them were extremely apologetic and regretful, and I could tell that John was seriously holding back tears. There was a lot of, fuck the stupid idea about a three-way, and it's so irrelevant at this point if you feel like this. Mark just shut down and didn't say much, except things like, okay, if that's what you really want, and of course you can have all the time you need to think things through. And you know me, you've known me forever. You know I would never, ever, ever let anything harm you. He literally seemed shocked at everything I said. At first they both tried to talk some sense into me, and they denied everything negative ever, and promised their innocence while admitting their mistakes. But when I wouldn't back down, they just resorted to apologies of sort, God, I really wish I could take this all back, from John, and I can't believe I was so stupid to not see I was hurting you. So it was mainly positive. I asked them not to text or call until it was time for John to leave, and to just generally leave me to myself while I try and figure things out. Before I left, Mark asked to hug me, and I let him, and he said, please don't leave me, and that was it. When I started typing on here, I got a text from Mark saying, John cancelled his trip, so I'll stay with him until you want me to move back. With a follow-up text, if you ever do, no matter what you think, just try to remember, I love you more than anything. I haven't sent a reply, nor do I plan to. So, I don't know what I will do. I still don't know what to think, but having this talk was like dropping a huge burden off my shoulders. So I guess that's a step forward. Any advice is more than welcome. I don't know if again I am biased and think this went well, or if it's just another ploy to manipulate me. So many questions buzzing now. Should I break up with Mark? Should I ever forgive John? Have all the years we've been friends meant nothing to them, and they just decided to show their true selves at last? I felt played and stupid, and I don't know what to think. I trusted them more than anyone my entire life, but yeah, it's kinda hard to. I'm not allowed to post another update after this, so I guess this is it. I suppose it isn't really closure yet, but I don't think there'll be a better time to write an update than now. I just want to express my immense gratitude for all your help once again. Absolutely, you don't go back to those people. Even after all this, it just felt like they were trying to guilt OP. And in the initial part of the story, it still feels like to me that it was all a setup, that they both knew about it. And there was people in the comments below that one talking about, you know, they got her a favorite drink before she even turned up. And she should have been side-eyeing that drink as well. Oh, what an absolute scary situation. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here today. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.